Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series, custom 4v4 action this afternoon for your viewing pleasure, with a smattering of Joes, but mostly pros in residence today. And the best news is there's no news, so we can go straight to that action, which is going to go down on a generated map. I'm ready, you guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how they're going to get on. Ching! Ka-ching! And I'm telling you what, the more maps I see from Mapgen has me convinced that the AI bases its algorithms on random stock photos from the internet. And today we clearly have a cross-section of a propeller with from a boat with some barnacles on the axle. I mean, what else could that be? It's insane. But whatever it is, it's definitely littered with mass points. So expect this game to escalate quickly today. Checking out our teams, this is going to be team 1 over on the left. That's 3 players on the left blade and 1 player on the bottom blade, just to check that I haven't got that completely backwards. That is indeed, you can see there, the 4 players in total on that side of the map. And then of course, checking out team 2, it'll be 1 on the top blade there and 3 on the right blade, or the 3 o'clock blade, or however you want to look at it. Anyway, let's check out Team 1 first of all, starting at the top over here. We have Paralon, there he is in Hallyborange Orange, going Seraphim, opening first land. To his southwest, right at the edge of the screen, in this season's very fashionable, fabulous, vivacious violet, it's Strogo. There he is, and he's going Seraphim 2, opening first land. Team member number 3, final player on the western blade, another Seraphim, starting to see a theme here. It's Wi-Fi Pain. There he is in Elephantine Grey, opening first land. And all by his lonesome on the bottom blade in Baby Blue, right at the bottom of the screen, the one varied racial factor on Team 1, it's Koiskix. And that's how you have to say his name. I have it on paper. It's a legal thing. Koiskix. There we go. Anyway, he's going UEF, and he's opening first and second land. Let's check out Team 2 now. In fact, let's slow this right down for these intros, because we've already got a bomber coming in. Let's waste no more time. Up at the top in Ferrari Red, none other than a regular at Guilecast, Arch Sim Cat. There he is, going UEF, as we said, in Ferrari Red, opening first land. Over in the east, in Mellow Yellow, going Seraphim, it's Wesh, opening first land. Below him, in Baby Pink, in his base still there, it's Mad Ent. Wouldn't like to meet one of those. Our first Cybrin of the day, he's opened first land. And last but not least, down here in Pontiff White, who really has gone for it with that early bomber. It's another Cybrin, it's Rising Star. There he is, and he opened first air to get that bomber out right away. We can speed things up and see how it's going to go for him. Gets first blood on that little engineer there, just making its way outside of the base. And gets a twofer. 2 engineers down on that first bombing run. Can he go for the hat trick? Yes, he can. And you can see, wasting no time there, Koiskix getting straight on production of mobile anti-air. Still can't save number 4, though. 4 engineers down from that bomber there from Rising Star. Very nice work indeed. Probably best that he bugs out now and sees if he can harass the other team members on Team 1 over here. Finishing up our introductions, it's a custom 4v4, sorry, not custom 4v4, a team arranged 4v4, so using the matchmaking system, which I think is why we're getting these 100% results on game balance. But you can see it is very close, 17-18 there versus 17-22. But that is the way, the nature of the beast. It's a wonderful recent addition to the FAF platform. It always was an issue with the old waiting times and what have you, and sometimes you just wanted to get in there and get a game up and not have to wait 20 minutes trying to get the people together. Now they have the 4v4 matchmaking system. Everything runs just that little bit smoother, which is quite frankly what you like when you are playing any kind of multiplayer game. Racially speaking, as we said, it's all Seraphim on Team 1 with the exception of a UEF play down here for Koiskix. A little bit more varied there for Team 2. We've got a UEF, a Seraphim, and 2 Cybrin. No Aeon in play today on either team, which it's always a little bit sad. For them, not for us, but Rising Star, meanwhile, making a traverse across the water. In fact, we've got 2 ACUs underwater. Rising Star heading onto the bottom blade and heading to the top blade to back up Arch Simcat, his teammate up there. It's Wesh. Still a little bit of a ways to go before he gets there. And what have we got here for Team 1? Paralon pulling his comm away from the main base and going straight for some naval production. Already has one naval yard in play. Second one on the way. Some very different approaches, it would seem, from these players, these two teams. Wi-Fi Pain on the move now as well to join his teammate on that southern blade. How will Rising Star fare, though? And more importantly, has Koiskix recognized the danger? He's got those two archers there. He can see, if he's paying attention, that land factory being built. And he can definitely see everything now as he buzzes overhead with an interceptor. Rising Star, if he wasn't already, will now be well aware that he has been spotted. Inbound T1 bomber from Wi-Fi Pain. No point in targeting the comm with that, so he goes after the land factory. It also doesn't do a great deal of damage. But over here, Koiskix will now be surely pushing out as many T1 units as he can as quickly as possible, trying to counter this threat that's ended up on this beach over here. And more inbound units now. It's 6 units of build capacity to assist the commander for Rising Star. Can he get them on the deck, though? They're being engaged. Yes, he can. Skyhook not going to make it back to base, but he won't worry about that. The important delivery was those engineers, and they are safely on the ground and assisting Rising Star in producing more land factories. This will soon be number 3 up and running. What's happening on the top blade? Paralon has crossed with his commander and is now encroaching on Arch Simcat's position, who started working on a T1 PD and didn't like the positioning, and so reclaimed it and started working on another one over here. I'm wondering if that will be a little bit costly during this immediate engagement. If he could have managed to get a T1 PD up and running, and it would have forced Paralon away. But as it stands, he hasn't completed a point defense, and he's lost at least 1 mechs and might soon lose 1 or 2 more. Arch Simcat currently backing up away from this encounter. Doesn't like the look of it as it stands. What's happening on the bottom? Well, Strogo has also crossed over the little divide here onto this top propeller wing and is engaging Wesh, who has come right the way across this blade and is getting into it now with his opponent. Strogo on about sub 10,000 hit points. Wesh a little bit lower on about 9,200. Few units of Zui over here launching artillery shells into this little enclosure. They've managed to take down 1 wall section and 1 point defense already. But a nicely timed T1 bomber from Wesh takes care of that little threat, at least for the time being. Other units of the Zuis in the area backing up away from the encounter, as is Strogo, who's looking like he's repositioning into the deeper parts of that little channel. Paralon, having inflicted the damage he wanted to, is also backing away from Arch Simcat, who's taking some time in rebuilding these mexes. There we go. Orders finally dispatched. What's happening on the bottom blade now? Well, it's all go, go, go. Rising Star has managed to get 5 land factories online. Another 4 queued up. Whether or not he manages it, though, remains to be seen. He has also managed to get a gun upgrade on board that commander, and he's fighting against Koiskix, who has no upgrade, which is why Koiskix is looking incredibly peaky right now at sub 5,500 HP. Rising Star still comfortably in the green, and Koiskix may have to go all the way over into hostile waters just to keep his commander safe. What have we got over here as well? Mad Ent has also crossed over onto the bottom plate, and he's right by Wi-Fi Pain, who's currently reclaiming one of his land factories. Will he manage to get that auto gun online? Yes, he will. Wi-Fi Pain will surely have to switch up to that or back away. Speaking of backing away, Koiskix manages to get out of the fray there, but just 1,600 hit points left on him. He has now got some of his T1 spam moving in to try and dismantle some of these factories. Got a few strikers in here, but also crucially a bunch of Lobos. Rising Star needs to get a little bit more erratic and less predictable with his movement on his commander, because at the moment he's taking the odd unnecessary Lobo shell, which will really knock HP off your comm, which you definitely don't want. That's for certain, now and at any time during the game. Rising Star just dipping into the yellow there, but regen keeping him above that 75% green threshold. Oh, look out. We've got a couple of torp bombers in from Rising Star, and Koiskix, after that volley or after that pass, goes down to about 500 hit points and gets back on land. And now he's got another problem once again as the Mantis move in to try and finish him off. Sub 500, sub 300, sub 200, but Rising Star running out of Mantis. His comm isn't far away though. Oh, just 60 something hit points, but regenning fast. Where is the air reinforcements? We've got more torpedo bombers making their way across the channel all the time. What they really need is some regular bombers or a gunship or two to try and finish Koiskix off. He's regened up to about 300 hit points on the commander. Rising Star wants to pursue him, but he's a little bit tied up right now with all of the inbound blue spam coming from Koiskix. Meanwhile, to the north, Wi-Fi Pain going off against Mad Ent. Wi-Fi Pain looking like he's in pain. He's on around 5,200 HP. Mad Ent a little bit healthier on about 7,200. But again, that constant torrent of blue spam coming his way. I really want to check in on what's happening on the top blade. I can see some long-range fire going off up there, but in comes a gunship. We were waiting for that. It's a T2 Renegade. It locks onto Koiskix, but he's got no escort detail. And look at the interceptors come to Koiskix defense. They need more than that if they're going to take him out. Ouch. Very, very close indeed to a comm kill. Good defensive work though from Team 1, managing to keep their man alive. Rising Star keeping his comm close to the water, and Mad Ent actually back in the water. Time to move on to the top blade now. And that inbound fire, as if you couldn't have guessed it, was from a Seraphim cruiser. T2 Naval HQ there, spitting out more cruisers, and this will make life very difficult now for Arch Simcat. You can see he's investing in clink hammers, but he's going to have to get a hell of a lot of tactical missile defense to try and keep on top of the inbound cruise missile spam that will be coming his way from these cruisers. And all of his resourcing options are now potentially under threat. Working hard on a T2 reactor, isn't going to get that up and running, and Arch Simcat wastes no time. He knows he wasn't going to defend it, and so starts to reclaim it. No volatile explosion there. Keeps his engineers alive. Rising Star still hugging the shoreline here. Down to around 4,600 HP. He's a 3-star commander, so he's got a couple of ranks in veterancy still to go, and there's one of them up to 4 stars now. Big old chunk of hit points back. Can he afford to be a little bit more blasé about things and push out? Certainly Koiskix thinks so, so he is consolidating a little bit further back in safer territory over there. And meanwhile, he's also getting a T2 upgrade on his comm, hoping desperately to replenish those lost hit points nice and quickly and keep him out of danger. What's been going on in the middle? It's not a particularly strategic or strategically important area. The terrain is passable in places. I think you could probably get an army maybe through there. That is a guess. There are a few mass points in there, but the barnacle-shaped mountains or hills are going to block a lot of inbound fire, and also the main bases of your opponents are quite far away from that central axle section. So that's why we're not seeing an awful lot of fighting over that right now. But meanwhile, Wi-Fi Pain capitalizing on all of the extra mass. He's got some T2 mass points operational in there, and there's more reclaim to be had as well. Incidentally, we should have done a little bit of that earlier on. Not particularly useful now. Most of the mass probably harvested. But it's suffice to say, with high-rated players, this all kicked off pretty darn quick, so we didn't have time to do the full intricate analysis of the map that we perhaps would have liked. But Wesh on the run now, deep into the red, 1,300 HP. Looks like he's going for friendly waters over here. And I tell you what I actually like the fact that these propellers go off screen and there's no way for these vessels. I don't know what that blue line is. It's like some map eyeliner. But there's no way for the vessels to traverse unless, of course, they are Cybran. We do have a couple of Cybrans on the map for Team 2. They could get some things done with their filthy destroyers. Strat Bomber out from Wesh, though. 36 kills on this Strat Bomber. So this guy has been getting work done while I've been jabbering, and he's not done yet. Look at this bombing run. T2 mechs after T2 mechs going down here. Ah! Down go 2 T2 reactors. 40 kills on that Strat Bomber. He's got his own escort detail of air superiority fighters, so he's not in any immediate danger still. Solid air control here from Team 2. Doesn't want to fly over those cruisers, though, with their brutal quantities of anti-air. He's got a little bit singed, but he's alright. R2, see what you can do. Maybe he's not alright as some fighters come in from Wi-Fi pain and finally pick off the danger. Wow, what a wonderful bombing run. Apologies we didn't see more of that, but definitely inflicted some damage there on their opponents. Paralon looking a lot more comfortable than last time we saw him, as is Strogo. Strogo's still in the yellow, still just about sub 50% health on about 5,600 hit points. Let's stop for a moment and take stock of the eco side of things. Generated eco, 2 players stand out, probably due to no more than their particular location on the map and how much access they have to mass points. Wesh on 146 mass per tick, Wi-Fi pain on 124. In terms of total mass accrued, it's pretty damn close, about a 2k mass differential there between Team 2 and Team 1 in favor of Team 1. In fact, that's starting to increase now. We're up to a 4k advantage in favor of Team 1. Team 2, though, still comfortably ahead by a long margin on score. Not that that really is an indicator of anything, of course. Another Strat Bomber out from Wesh, again targeting the main base sections of Team 1. T1 interceptors move to engage, try and shoot down this bomber. They've knocked off about 40% of its health, but it's still going and it's still battering down resourcing options for Team 1. Another T2 mech's under threat. No, interesting decision. Goes for an outlier instead. Manages to get it. Gets shot down, but not before it claims another mechs. Wesh absolutely battering Team 1 with these Strat Bombers right now. Do we have another one under construction? You can see down in the bottom left-hand corner, it looks like he's going combination of about sort of 5 ASFs, or he was, changes it up dramatically, was going about 5 ASFs, a spy plane, a Strat Bomber, then 5 ASFs, but now he's changing it up to some engineer production. Doesn't want to give his opponents too much predictable play, which is fair enough. Always a good idea to change things up. When you've got them on the back foot, that's when you eco and eco hard. But look at this. Team 1, Seraphim vessels, and in fact UEF vessels down here, Koiskix and Wi-Fi Pain have set up shop in a position relatively close to this incursion from Rising Star, which has been going off since the first, I don't know, 3 minutes in the game, 2 or 3 minutes. He wasted no time coming in with that T1 bomber right off the bat, and then moving up for a little bit of a D-Day incursion with his commander. Unfortunately, wasting a lot of time there engaging a wall sections instead of the T1 point defense. Someone asked the other day why they build wall sections around T1 point defense. Well, I think there you got a good look. The lower profile units do get shielded fire just a little bit from those wall sections, so a T1 point defense will get some cover from those wall sections, which is why they do it. But now we're getting some naval play in the southeastern pond. We did have what looks like a T2 potentially, or maybe it was a T1. It had a lot of build capacity attached to it. Naval yard there from Rising Star. And he's managed to spit out a few frigates. He's also engaging these naval yards with some renegades right now, but they don't last very long as Wi-Fi rolls in to pick them off. A wave of torpedo bombers now in from Mad Ent. A real team effort here to crush this naval threat in the bottom right corner. Another couple of naval yards down for Koiskix. He's now sitting on 3, and Wi-Fi Pain also sitting on 3. Rising Star needs to be careful though. His comms looking a little peaky as it moves away from the mainland in the red. 2,700 hit points there. And he's got a sub-problem buzzing around him as well. Could do with some more torpedo bombers from Mad Ent to come and save him here. Oh, torpedo bomber in from Koiskix. Doesn't get its payload in the water before getting shot down though, but Rising Star in major trouble here. On about 1,100 HP. He's been lucky not to get picked off a couple of times. Away he goes. But good news for their team, they've almost crushed this naval threat down here. Mad Ent still getting work done with those torpedo bombers. Just a couple of naval yards, UEF naval yards for Koiskix left. And then there was one. Engineers trying to get some point defense up on the shoreline, hoping it will reach over here and defend this last naval yard. It might do. It will certainly reach this one. I'm not sure about this vessel over here. You could definitely park it down here and stay out of the way and still hit that naval yard. It is in range as that triad goes online. 750 hit points left on that naval yard. So they still have a presence. What's going on in the top left pond now? ARAS 80% done there for Paralon. That'll be a big boost to his eco. Where are we now in generated income? Well, Team 2 well ahead. 750 versus 612. And you can see that reflected in the total mass there. 392 versus 371. That is pretty darn enormous. Team 2, of course, in case you're forgetting this team over here. Awkward map, what with Arch Simcat being on the top. Sometimes makes life a little confusing, but generally speaking, gone are the days when Subcom maps used to have their team placements in weird places. I used to moan about it all of the time back in the day, but I see it very rarely now where the team placement isn't relatively intuitive. Torpedo bombers from Koiskix finishing off that last frigate. Down it goes. But look at the naval recovery from Rising Star. Has a T2 naval yard and 3 more T1s right by it. Could do worse than to get some Salems and some Sirens out if he can manage it. He's got the T2 naval yard. Definitely needs to deal with this inbound Zui threat, though, from Wi-Fi Pain, which he does. Help that they were all clumped up together there. Sometimes you're just too busy to micro. I completely sympathize. Mad Ent bringing in some more renegades just to finish off that last pesky suicide mortar, and yes, that's what they are. I refuse to... I mean, I say I refuse to call them artillery. I call them artillery all the time, but they are suicide mortars, damn it. But look at this juicy couple of Perseus entering the fray now from Koiskix from a very weird angle. They must have come up here and come down. Rising Star has repped up nicely. Has got access to overcharge. So they'll probably want to stay away from that. But if they move out, they could probably inflict some damage here. The biggest threat will be gunships, which they won't be able to do anything about. But look at this mess up at the top. And as we said, ArchSimCat just locked into a perpetual cycle of building shield gens, tactical missile defense, and artillery, trying to combat this cruiser spam that he's going up against. Paralon just relentlessly spitting those out. He's got 7 cruisers now in this little area. And what is the range on some of these clink hammers like? Well, that's why those vessels are located where they are located. You can see Arch trying to just creep forward a little bit, get those artillery pieces in range of some of these naval yards and these other vessels. If he can get a new shielded position up and running over here, then he stands a chance of that. But you can see Paralon hip to the threat and targeting this new forward base for demolition. I'm not sure he's got enough cruisers to manage it, though. There's an awful lot of buzz kills in here, literally killing Paralon's buzz. It's actually a lovely... That's never occurred to me what a wonderful name that is, Buzzkill, for a tactical missile defense. If they were slightly more effective, it would be even more apt, but they get the job done, I guess. And a brick from Mad Ent brought in to engage these 2 Percivals from Koiskix. Rising Star turns up. That looked like it might have been an overcharge to get the job done, and there it is. Just got sandwiched there and didn't manage to get in and really cause any damage. You can see took that power generator down to about 400 HP. Regrettably for Team 1, not enough. Not comfortable with that result, I'm sure, but what is going Team 2's way, without question, is this naval battle in the bottom right-hand corner. Koiskix, by the looks of things, about to get locked out of the water once and for all down here. Wi-Fi Pain still valiantly trying to get things up and running over here, but he's not actually building anything out of these naval yards. He's got 3 naval yards in play, and now an extra one up for Koiskix, but of Wi-Fi's racial profile. Guessing he probably gifted a bunch of engineers there. Oof, nice pass from some torp bombers. Takes down one of those cruisers and sets the other Siren down to about 100 odd HP. Gets a rank in veterancy though, which gives him some HP back. And look out, is that our first experimental of the game? I think it probably is, wherever it is. I don't know where he's built that. Answers in the comments. That was Paralon, right? I'm not imagining things. Paralon, there it is, staring straight at it. I swear to God, as I get older, my tunnel vision is getting worse. Somebody said that to me on the Patreon channel the other day. Yeah, apologies for that. I can only handle processing what my eyes and brain allow me to. I do my best. Now, will this experimental assault bot be the hammer that punches a hole in this deadly looking front line? Lots of different varied defensive emplacements here. We've got triads, we've got lots of T1 point defense, tactical missile defense, artillery. Artillery, of course, will be of limited assistance against that bot, but the bot doesn't actually seem to be making a play by the looks of things on this front line. Instead, it looks like it might be heading south. It would certainly fare better against this position down here, and I guess if he punched his way through, he could push on up and hit from the other side. But the sheer quantity of gunships that are inbound make it unlikely to succeed, I have to say. And indeed, he is going after the northern position. Perhaps he's well aware of the inbound gunship threat. Doesn't want to push in too deep. He's hugging close to that experimental now with these cruisers, trying to shield it from that gunship threat as best he can. Gunships, well aware of the threat, are waiting for an opportunity to strike. They're not going to go straight in unnecessarily. They posture. And as such, the Ethota hangs a Louis. A real game of cat and mouse here. Look at all of that flak. Gunships don't seem to want too much of that. Thank you very much. And Paralon once again moves in to engage the other defenses further north. He doesn't have to deal a killing blow here with this experimental. He just has to kill enough of these defenses to allow the cruisers to slowly batter this half of the top blade down. Experimental gets a nice rank in veterancy there, back up to about 28,000 hit points. Still a few clink hammers in here which could deal some damage. Oh, and a Ravager over here. It just got completed but lost all of the engineers around it that were working on it, I believe. It's into the red now, though, that Ethota. Gunships want to finish it off, but they don't want to die. It's a complicated set of emotions they're going through, especially now that there's Ioshifers on the scene which have just come across the water that could offer that experimental a little extra cover if it pushes further inland. In comes some Corsairs from Mad Ent. A lot of Corsairs, and that will get the job done. And now he needs to move those boats away lest they get caught in the Ion Storm. Ow, what a little engagement that was. Arch took some serious damage on the southern portion of his blade over here, but he still has a fair few defenses operational further north. Meanwhile, do we have D-Day number 2 kicking off in the south? Vessels from Rising Star have forced Koiskix and Wi-Fi away from the eastern edge of this southern blade. And now we're seeing engineers move inbound. But what was that? That's an experimental bomber right there. Rising Star asking for a scout for a nuke. So Wesh, not content with the damage he inflicted from the skies earlier with his strap bombers, just stepped everything up a notch. Oh, all your cruisers. Oh, they're all dead. Just 2 cruisers remain, and Archsincap will be breathing a sigh of relief after this little batch of reinforcements. Let's just stop for a moment and take stock of ASF numbers. Wesh on 180 air superiority fighters. We have 1 or 2 kicking around from Mad Ent, but not enough to concern ourselves, really. It's going to tip the balance. And we've got 152 there from Strogo, who is now pouring across this channel with lots of T1 spam. T1 spam, though, that is not going to last very long against this experimental bomber, as long as Wesh can keep it alive. He needs to be very careful with his fighter placement. Smells a good engagement opportunity there. Strogo pulls away, and it's probably no bad thing. He doesn't really want to fight over the top of all that flak at the bottom of the channel. No, he definitely does. Not concerned about it at all. And he's got a wonderful engage there. Strogo trying to pull out, loses a bunch of fighters off the back of that tail there. And that only increases Wesh's lead more. Meanwhile, Mad Ent crossing the southern channel now with bricks en masse. We also have barrages of TAC missiles going after mass points belonging to Koiskix. Just non-stop action, this one, and yet not a lot of territorial movement. It's all been rather static, but so many lives lost. It's World War I all over again, only with shinier toys and smarter uniforms and less mud, let's be honest. Ravagers going up in quantity in the middle of Archer's base. And now we have 2 Ethotas from Paralon attacking at the same time. Surely he's going to be able to deal some damage here. Backed up with tons and tons of Zui spam coming across from Strogo. Air engagements kicking off in the south. Strogo thinking of relocating his fighters, or maybe trying to make a play for the experimental bomber, which is looking less well defended. But Wesh, paying attention, withdraws his fighters, so Strogo moves after the gunships, going after the experimentals in the north. And the experimentals, incidentally, making good progress here. The southern one is on about 2/3 health, but the top one still basically completely undamaged. Shields collapsing for Arch. Where's his commander? Well, it's firmly in retreat. I don't blame him. It's looking dangerous up front. Wesh still lurking with his experimental bomber. Is desperate to get in here and drop a bomb. He needs to be reasonably careful. Doesn't want to take out too many of Arch's troops as collateral damage. Bombs away on the last remaining experimental. Takes him into the yellow. Strogo, for better or for worse, decides to engage in a very clumped up manner. And he definitely doesn't have the numbers to handle by himself, and he knows it, which is why Wi-Fi Pain moves in to join in the fight. They're desperate to take out this experimental bomber. Are they going to zero in on it in the middle of the fight? No, they're not. They're determined to win the air battle. Experimental assault bot still doing okay. He's got about 1/3 of his health left. That bomber still lurking. Our team one going to emerge victorious from this air battle. It's going to be close. Ithota eats another bomb. Just look how many they can take, though. More ASFs coming in from Wesh all the time, and I can't believe it. I think he's managed to weather that storm and come out on top. He's also had some assistance from Mad Ent, who's got a few air superiority fighters kicking around up here. That Ithota down to 10,000 hit points now. Where is Arch? He's just over here, and I can't believe it. We are 35 minutes more or less into this game. We've still yet to have an ejection. We don't even know if it's full share or not yet, but down goes the Ithota after taking 1 million experimental bombs to the face. That'll generally be bad for your health. But look how well things are going on the bottom blade for Team 2. Another set of T1 land factories from Rising Star just spewing out light artillery against what's left of Koisix's base. He's also taking fire from a few destroyers which have sprouted legs. And a couple of bricks from Mad Ent as well. Oh, those T3 mass extractors. Oh, that's really going to hurt losing those. Oh, did it finally get shot down? Where's that bomber gone? It was just here a moment ago, but I can't see it. And I saw a large explosion. There it is. Just misses Wi-Fi Pain's comm. But just as the suicide mortars are breaking through on the bottom, it looks like we're getting some penetration at the top as well from Strogo. Mad Ent trying to keep up with things, though, with his fighter bombers, and actually not doing too bad of a job with it.
Strategic launch detected.
A Novax spotted, and then a nuke as well. Attack missile battery from that place that I was spent a lot of time earlier saying was very unstrategic. Well, if you're going to get anything done, that's where you do it from. Flies overhead of a tactical missile defense and is managed to going to take out a T3 mass extractor. Now, is there strategic missile defense? If not, this could be a massive win for Team 2, and it's going to land. It's going to take out the newly constructed Novax. That's one threat eliminated that was buzzing around here. Wesh immediately gets to work on a new experimental bomber now that that threat has been dealt with. Was that Wesh that launched that nuke? I think it came out of here. Strategic missile defense. I'm sure. There it is. Yeah, all of the engineers around that. Hurriedly working on a new one, and that's about 40% done on the next one. So Team 1 are going to have to get a wriggle on and do it fast if they want to get some strategic missile defense in place. Look out, though. Sneaky, sneaky Spider-Bot from Mad Ent about to make landfall right on Wi-Fi Pane's doorstep, right by what is a massive mass fab farm in the south. He definitely doesn't want to lose that. Wi-Fi Pane putting out 600 mass. He is literally carrying his team right now in terms of eco. Each one of those putting out another mass and consuming 100 power. But the Monkey Lord makes landfall, goes straight after the nuke launcher, and he's going to get it. Oh my god, don't stop firing now. What are you doing? Changes it up for all of the point defense, which is engaging it. Finish off the nuke launcher, surely. There we go. Attack pings going down on it. Sentiment also shared by his teammates, I see. But now going after Wi-Fi Pane, whose comm is just over here. Currently shielded with lots of T2 point defense around it and lots of Tech 1 point defense. Oh my goodness, engage the commander. Attack pings going down on the strategic missile defense. That will be an easier target, but oh my god, it survives. How did it survive? I don't know, it looked like it got its laser caught on that raised bit of terrain there that's housing that shield gen. It just blocked some of the inbound fire, which kept that strategic missile defense alive. I wonder if he could have killed Wi-Fi there. He's got 18,000 hit points, one of the nano repair upgrades. Maybe, maybe not. He wasn't alive for that long. Either way, though, exciting play, it has to be said. Koiskik's just trying to stay alive here in the south. But it's proving very, very difficult indeed. In fact, he's embarking on a campaign of counter-spam right now. Look at all of those factories he's queuing up. If you can't beat them, join them, as the old adage goes. And now we see Arch with an experimental, about time too. He's been under a lot of fire here, but he's done a stalwart job, due in no small part to the aerial support he's been getting from Mad Ent and Wesh, who've been doing phenomenal work on the air side of things. Wesh especially. I'd like to name him as a preliminary contender for MVP so far. It could change as the game moves on, but he's certainly deserving of it so far. Lovely positioning there in the midst of a whole lot of build capacity and other assorted units. Tears a whole chunk in that defense. And Koisik's on the move with his commander, moving up here, maybe to try and take out one of these Salems. Is that the last one? We saw a bunch of them on the ground early over here. And yep, there he goes. Manages it with a single overcharge to get the job done. Oh! Lots and lots of recently deceased structures. And again, it dies in almost exactly the same place as the first experimental bomber. Pretty sure that's newly destroyed, or was that all taken out by that Monkey Lord a moment ago? Hard to remember. Wi-Fi Pane still way ahead of everybody else, about 560 mass coming out from him, but that is down some 100 odd mass on where he was before. Those mass fab farms are taking a hit, and now another nuke out from Wesh, and I think we all know where this is going. It's going over here, that experimental bomber landing pretty much on top of the strategic missile defense. An experimental nuke launcher over here. All planned from Wi-Fi pane. Has he got an anti-nuke missile in that silo up here? No, he hasn't. Ow, is it going to kill his comm? Our survey says no. A little bit too far to the north. And what does that do to his economy? Well, that really skims off the top, down to about 450. Getting some shield gens up. In his defense, he's managed to get half of that Yelena Os built. If that experimental missile launcher goes online and they can defend it, they win. It's as simple as that from this position. Team 2 must prioritize that as a target and take it out. And Strogo just flying through hostile ASFs while they're embattled with his own and getting that experimental bomber shot down. Wow. Not having as much luck with it as Wesh did. And when I say luck, I mean skill. We have a disruptor online. In fact, these two teams seem to be trading Tech 3 artillery already. There has been so much going on in this game. We have missed the new phases of development, but it's just impossible to keep up with all the salient aspects that have happened. So apologies for that. I'm sure I'll get lots of the usual criticism in the comment section, but trust me, don't knock it until you've tried casting a game like this. There is just so much going on. And Koiskix is finally evicted from the bottom blade. Wonderful work from Rising Star, who has been relentless in his plan for conquest of this bottom blade right from the outset. Moved in to engage with that bomber in the first couple of minutes, and then moved in the first 5 minutes with his commander to set up shop. Was pushed out, but now is in firm control. Just Koiskix's comm remains, trying to scoop what mass he can before he'll no doubt have to evac. And he really doesn't want to leave that too long, or maybe he's just planning to die out there and scoop as much mass for his team as possible. Fat Boy still parked on the shoreline there for Arch Simcat, clearing the way, and it really is telling the impact it's had. Look at this. We've got 4 naval yards up now for Arch. Team 2 look absolutely unstoppable. They haven't managed to pick off a single commander, and it's probably a good thing. It is, after all, full share, no doubt, I would imagine. Hard to say. You can set up full share as an option in the 4v4 team matchmaking. You don't have to go for it. How's that Yelena Os coming? Well, it's taken a bit of a battering, actually, because if you look at the progress bars on the engineers, it's nearly done. It's probably about 5/6 done, something like that. But it's on about 40% hit HP, and there it finally goes. Koiskix, who, let's face it, was not going to have any more impact on the game, getting killed off by bricks, making their way across that bottom blade there. Mad Ent scoring the kill. Another strap bomber buzzing around from Wesh. What's Wesh up to these days? Paused nuke launcher. All seems rather quiet on that side of things. Oh, look, perhaps a massive snipe being planned. Whole car park full of strap bombers, which would actually be a strap bomber park, but quiet you, I don't want to hear it. And the Yelena Os is completed. Now, can they get it shielded and defended? Remember, there is T3 artillery raining down. No! No! Oh! Oh dear. And it took out a bunch of comms at the same time. They control Cade. Oh. Pooh. Well, miraculous play from Team 2. Fantastic stuff. I mean, look at it. They held the top blade, they conquered the bottom blade, and they just slowly pounded that western blade into oblivion over time. They very nearly did it. Honestly, if they managed to get that up a couple of minutes ago, that would have been very interesting to see where it would have gone. But wonderful denial of service there from Team 2. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, guys, more to come from me in the future. Don't forget, the best way to support me is to sign up for Patreon. It's a mere $1 a month, guys, and you get all sorts of extra content coming your way. I think we've got some 43 casts now for privileged access, only for merely $1, and new casts being added all the time. I hope to see you there. But until next time, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.